Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I am Jenna Conley, Henricos Gifted Specialist, and with me I have an amazing team. I have Miss Nevetral, a Gifted Coordinator and Lead Teacher for Henrico County. I also have Miss Rebecca Crofts, a Middle School GRT for ELCO and HVA with us presenting tonight. And then I have our wonderful Mr. Carr, who will be handling some tech for us during our presentation. And I also have Miss Chandler, Moody Middle School GRT as well. So welcome team and welcome families that are here with us tonight. Hey, Beth and Miss Lewis. So glad to see some of our middle school peeps on the call. And essentially what we're going to do tonight is I'll take you through a presentation. We have a few folks presenting, and then toward the end, we will go ahead and move into a question and answer period. Mr. Carr along the way is also going to try to handle some of our questions in the chat. So if you have something that just kind of pops into your mind that you want to go ahead and put in there, he will be moderating our chat for us. And so with that, I will go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen so that you'll be viewing our identification slideshow, and I'll be talking through. All right, let me get us up and running here. All right, so parents, welcome, families. I know too, it sounds like we might even have some students on our call. We're so glad that you're with us. Our session tonight is about the 2021-2022 gifted identification process and steps involved in Henrico's timeline for gifted identification. This session is geared toward our middle school parents, but if you also have elementary school kiddos, you may have seen a similar presentation at the school level. We wanted to offer that same opportunity for our middle school families. And so you may be considering referring your child for gifted identification, or it's possible that you've already initiated a conversation with your child's teachers or middle school gifted resource teacher about referring your student. And it may be that you're just kind of curious about gifted identification, or you have some specific questions about the process. Our meeting tonight will really provide you with a basic overview and opportunity to ask questions following this presentation. And one thing to keep in mind, parents, is that there are annual windows for gifted identification in Henrico for grades K-8. So if you decide not to refer your child this year, or if you opt out of in-person testing, if you are an HVA student and don't feel comfortable coming into buildings, there will be additional opportunities in following academic year. So this isn't kind of like a one and only shot. There are annual referral opportunities. And please do note, parents, that students must be currently enrolled in Henrico County Public Schools in order to participate in our gifted identification process and the required assessments. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin with a little quick review of Henrico's philosophy statement for gifted education. We know our students require educational opportunities that are commensurate with their needs and abilities. Henrico is committed to using multiple criteria to identify gifted students from all cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds. The school division provides a qualitatively differentiated instructional program that includes rigorous 21st century content curriculum, along with innovative instructional opportunities for students in grades K through 12. Henrico also recognizes the complex social and emotional needs of gifted students. Here are some of our characteristics of gifted children, or some look-fors. And of course, giftedness is unique to each student. And so some students have some of these traits, but not necessarily all. Our National Association for Gifted Children defines giftedness in this way: students with gifts and talents perform or have the capability to perform at higher levels compared to others of the same age, experience, and environment in one or more domains. Students require modifications to their educational experiences to learn and realize their potential. And so students with gifts and talents come from all racial, ethnic, cultural, and socioeconomic populations. They require sufficient access to appropriate learning opportunities to realize their potential. They can have learning and processing disorders that require specialized interventions and accommodation. They need support and guidance to develop socially and emotionally and in their areas of talent. So on the slide that you see here, you will see some questions and factors you will want to consider as you think about referring your child for the gifted identification process. And so, at a glance, does your child perform at remarkably high levels, have intense interest, or show compassion for others? Does he or she exhibit intellectual intensity, think outside the box, possibly effectively interacts with adults and older children and students, or use alternative processes? Other look fors include being eager to explore new ideas or concepts. Is he or she a leader within his or her group of peers, self-aware, and sensitive to larger or deeper issues? And again, don't have to fit every single one of these, but these are just some of the look fors. In order to provide access to gifted services and programming for our eligible middle school students, the Gifted Programs Office is working with our middle school gifted resource teachers, our school testing coordinators, and our middle school administrators and building staff to carry out the gifted identification process and provide consistent support and communication throughout the identification window. The slideshow that you see tonight includes a timeline for parents about key steps in this process and information on the data that will be gathered on referred students. Your gifted resource teacher at your child's middle school can provide building specific information in addition to the information that we provide tonight. And so next up, Ms. Nevetral will review the gifted identification timeline and some of those dates that you're going to want to keep in mind.
Hi, everyone. It is so nice to see you. I hope you're having a great evening. Like Ms. Conley said, my name is Amanda Nevetral. I work at the central office level with the Gifted Programs Office. And this year, I'm going to be working very closely with the middle school gifted resource team. If you have had students go through the gifted identification window in years past, you may be aware that at one time we had different windows for different grade levels. And this year, we have decided to have everyone go through in one window. And it's a little easier if you have kids in different grades. But so our referral window first opens on January 3rd. So that first day after we get back from winter break, and it runs through January 14th. And January 14th is the last day that you can refer your student to go through our gifted identification process. To refer your child, you do need to have it in writing, submit it in writing to your middle school gifted resource teacher. And if you were unsure who that person is, we have a slide at the end with everyone's name on it. So you can reach out to them if you're interested in the referral. There are 3 areas that students can be referred in. The first is general intellectual aptitude, and that just means both language arts and math combined. They can also be referred in just language arts or just math. When you refer your child, you definitely want to specify which of the 3 areas you're interested in, so we can make that clear on our paperwork. All right, so if you decide to refer your child, you submit that in writing to your middle school gifted resource teacher by January 14th, and then you are going to receive some paperwork from our office, from school. So the 2 things you will receive: an academic referral form. This will give us permission to collect evidence to take your child through the process. And you will also receive a parent guardian questionnaire. This gives you an opportunity to really share with the team at school the information, or kind of what you're seeing at home, the gifted characteristics that you are noticing. So you will complete that paperwork and return it to your middle school. And we ask that all of that paperwork be returned by February 3rd. And you can send it attention, the gifted resource teacher at each middle school, to make sure it gets to the right place. Okay, so between February 3rd and March 18th, we begin to collect all of the required evidence. All of this evidence is put in a portfolio, and it's reviewed by the school's identification placement team. So the information that we collect is the parent guardian questionnaire. We talked a little bit about that. We do look at grades. We look at grades from this current school year, but we also typically use grades from previous years. We'll take a look at them as well, just to get like a good sense of the student's overall performance. We do have a teacher scale that we ask teachers to fill out, And so in the middle school level, we would ask the language arts teacher and the math teacher from this current year to fill out kind of what they're noticing in the classroom. We will collect some standardized assessment data, and we'll talk a little bit about that on a few slides down. And we will also collect a student interview. And so we compile these pieces, and we are looking for 4 out of these 5 pieces to be supportive in any of those areas in order to identify a student as gifted. And you will receive the final results in the mail, and they are going to be mailed home from individual schools on April 19th. If your address has changed, please make sure to update it at the school level. We can't update any of that on our end, but definitely make sure to go to the school or call the school and let them know. And of course, if you don't receive the mailing within a few days, you can always contact the school and just make sure we can always send another copy home.
All right, thanks, Ms. DeVetro. Oh, I heard somebody hop on. Did somebody have something to say? No? Okay. All right, for some key points, we're going to go ahead and look at some of the ID process and some of those things that Ms. Nevetral was referencing, including how to initiate a referral for gifted identification. And really, our parent information session today is focused around this question, how you initiate that referral. You really do want to consult your child's middle school teachers to go ahead and discuss his and her or her current academic performance. In addition to attending our session tonight, have that conversation with your English and math teachers. Always great too to check in with your history and science teachers, see how your child is performing. And once you've had that conversation and you would like to proceed with a referral for gifted identification, you may send your written referral to your school's gifted resource teacher, and of course an email is fine. But remember too, that final due date for referrals is January 14th. And it's a quick referral window. It opens right on January 3rd when we get back from break. So just be mindful to get it in that window. All right. What type of testing is required for our gifted identification process? We are using nationally normed test scores, and it can be from a previous school year so long as it falls within Henricos validity range. And so for our middle school students in grades 6 through 8, we will use a nationally normed test score from a previous school year if that date is correct. And so we do have MAP scores from the 2019 school year. But if a student does not have a nationally normed score on file, arrangements to take a test will be made, and that testing will take place between February 15th and March 8th. Additionally, if a student has transferred from another school district and has test scores from a previous gifted identification, those scores will be used as part of our identification transfer process. And there are additional documents and links on our gifted page of the Henrico website with some information on the transfer process as well. All right, next, Ms. Crofts will cover some HVA and middle school service information.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. So if there is anyone out there that is part of HVA, we just wanted to let you know that these parents will receive some additional information and dates about testing sessions if they are necessary, and the testing site, if testing is necessary, would take place at Holiday Elementary, and the event dates for these tests would be between February 15th and March 8th. If there's additional information or evidence needed, we may be able to collect some of this in a virtual setting. Okay, so for the middle school gifted services, identified students, which would take place next year, would be a required enrichment class for 6th grade. So it's considered one of their electives, and that is a required class in 6th grade. And then in 7th and 8th grade, the tag classes and 21st century learning classes become electives. All of the classes are taught in middle schools by gifted resource teachers at this level. Some of the areas of study and focus and concentration in middle schools are communication, growth and growth mindset, which is part of self-awareness, academic self-awareness, leadership, philosophy, research, STEM, and many design programs and study strategies. And we also have a program for some of 7th and 8th graders where we work with VCU in a stock market game.
All right, let me go ahead and exit out of sharing my screen here, and we can move into some Q&A. And I haven't been monitoring the chat. I know Mr. Carr has been doing that, so I'm not really aware what our questions may be. But Ms. Sims, do you want to kind of steer some questions our way?